Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is the first broadcast of TechTonics. TechTonics is a segment of yantras in which we are going to cover top spicy tech news from around the world. Around the world, baby. Because that's how we roll. It's not that difficult, I just have to Google stuff. But you get the point, right? In this segment of Yantras, we are going to look into the various technological news or various technological happenings that is happening all across the world. I'm going to aggregate them, segregate them, present them in my own unique way. That is the essence of Yantras, and I'm going to present them to you as frequently as I can so that you are aware of what is happening in the world when it comes to the perspective of technology. And if you are watching this video for the first time, I want to congratulate you because there are many segments of Yantras and Tectonics coming frequently very soon. So with that said, let's begin this segment with the first news, which is coming from our familiar Google. Google has decided that it is going to space out or phase out the very familiar microphone sign that you see on the Google bar in the Google app. Well, it's not right to say it's completely phasing out. What will be much better to say is that Google is now deciding to phase out the microphone sign with the Google Assistant sign. You know, the one with the three dots? Absolutely. And what is also happening is the familiar "Hey Google" words that you see in the Google bar are also going to be replaced with "Ask Your Assistant." A few phones as per 9 to 5 Googles are being spotted in which this change is being rolled out, and if this change sooner or later forms a part of your smartphones, don't be surprised. Well, Pixel users will not anyway be surprised because the functionality of this new Google bar is very similar to that of Pixel Launcher, wherein whenever you type anything, the results and queries pop up from the bottom of the screen. So that is one change that we think is going to be good and which is coming on from Google. So stay tuned for that. Next news. Tesla users are going to be very happy because in a recent tweet by Elon Musk, Elon just said that streaming of YouTube and Netflix is soon coming over onto Teslas. Well, using Tesla screens in creative manner is not something new. Tesla screens can now play PC games such as Fallout Shelter and certain other Atari games like Tempest, Pole Position and Missile Command. But this is something new from the perspective that there were certain technical problems that were arising for using these screens for streaming YouTube and Netflix. There was a certain issue where HTML5 was not being supported by these screens, but there's one person who found a way around this, and the Tesla users will now be able to stream YouTube and Netflix. But wait, you might be thinking, if you are going to stream Netflix and YouTube over onto your car, how will you drive and will it not lead to accidents? Well guys, right now if you want to play any games in Tesla, first thing that you need to do is actually park your car. Right? Similar will be the situation when you will be able to stream Netflix and YouTube as well. Your car needs to be in park position and only then you will be able to do this stuff. But is that going to be the situation for always? Absolutely not. We know that self-driving tests are now, as of this moment, are being tested out by regulatory authorities for approval. If this thing gets approved in its entire sense, can you imagine what are the things that are going to happen? Let's say you want to take your kids to a birthday party. What do? You sit in your car, you lock these two positions and just Netflix and chill. And the next time your car is going to stop, it's going to stop directly into your kids or friend's place whose birthday is being celebrated or stuff like that. Imagine just having chips in that car then. So all you need to do is Netflix and chill and eat chips. I mean, we are going to be fat as Fudge, right? In the next news, we have privacy leaks. It's not something new. Privacy leaks have been part of news from the time we have actually entered this digital age. But this time, it's Siri, baby. As per one report that is published by Guardian, a contractor laid out this fact that Siri can not only be activated by its original Hey Siri command, there are also certain other voice commands and sounds like using your zipper that can actually activate Siri. And if it gets activated when you are unzipping your zipper, do you have any idea what are the things that are going to be recorded? That is what is precisely happening. So, this contractor via Guardian said that there were many different voice instances that were being recorded that ranged from personal conversation to seemingly criminal deals and stuff like that that you are not supposed to hear from people. Are there policies in place that take care of this? Definitely yes, there are policies in place by all of these digital companies, and mind you, this is not the first time this is happening from a digital company or a tech giant. There have been reports of privacy leaks by Amazon side for something similar when it comes to voice instances, Google also, and well, Facebook. I don't need to say anything about that. So, this is not something new. And are there policies in place? Yes, there are policies in place where the contractor confidentiality are taken care of. There is also written statements that only 1 to 3% of voice instances that are being provided to Siri are being used for enhancing and upgrading Siri and all of these voice artificial intelligence mechanisms. But this raises a lot of questions, doesn't it? What is going to happen with the voices that are being recorded and that should not have been recorded? What is going to happen to the privacy that is being distorted by this? Because there is also reports that all of these voice instances are also coupled with the personal details of these people. Lots and lots of questions coming up, but let's say this is not something new. And yes, whenever technology comes up, there are certain kinds of issues that happen. Let's see how Apple goes ahead and resolves these issues. In the next news, prosthetic arms can now feel. Yes, you heard that right. Mr. Kevin Walgamot, who was a recipient of this experiment for 14 months in which scientists from University of Chicago, University of Utah and University of Cleveland participated, the arm that they used on the subject, which was Kevin, when it was applied in a correct sense with all the technological advancements in place, the new prosthetic arm was able to feel the distance between his fingers. Kevin, when he actually used these arms after his original arm was amputated from an electrical accident in 2002, grew very, very emotional when these things happened. Because imagine, he was able to put a wedding ring in his hands, he was able to handle a grape without squeezing it, he was even able to identify that his prosthetic arm is holding an egg with his eyes blindfolded. The beauty this technology is bringing. Just imagine people like Kevin who need these kinds of things in their life, or who lost these or had this accident in which they lost a part of themselves, being supplied with these kinds of technology that can completely change their lives. And that is what was completely visible in his face. It was a really touching news, guys. And if you have the chance to read the complete aspect as to how these things happen, I'll leave the link to that down in the description. But this is something that is happening which is absolutely fantastic. Now many of you guys might be thinking, how is this happening? And the guy that is standing in front of you is an electronics engineer. So how this is happening is, if a limb gets amputated, the nerve endings can still sense things. You might have heard of instances where people who have had their hands amputated could still feel that their hands are there. This is happening because the nerve endings are still very capable of sending these signals. and these nerve endings and these signals are derived from a very specific memory and have a very specific kind of electronic signal. So if you can just tap into these sensory perceptions, you can decode what these sensory perceptions are saying. You can use a transducer to translate these perceptions into what they really are, and then you can translate these signals over onto the brain to make you understand what these senses are saying. Fantastic, isn't it? We have learned of transducers in electronics and instrumentation, but that's a different thing altogether. Anyways, if you want to know more about this news, you can just go ahead and read everything about it in the link that is given in the description. So these were the important news that are making really big headlines. In TechTonics, I'm also starting this next segment in which I'll be covering news from which are not that hyped up, but which is very essential for you to know how they are affecting your life. And I'm an Indian, proud Indian I should say. And I also am going to cover news about technology from India, because India is one area where technology and all of these things are just coming up like anything. So in this segment, we are going to cover some other news, and let's see what those news are. So as we all know, Ryzen is taking the CPU market share with a storm, and it seems Japan is the most happy recipient of this market share, because Ryzen has seen a staggering 68.6% increase in sales when it comes to Ryzen chips. This data about how the market share has been increased is taken from leading online retailers such as Amazon. There's also brick and mortar PC hardware stores whose sales are taken into account. There's account of Adeon as well, and compiling all of this data, it is recognized that the market share that Ryzen is seeing in the CPU segment is just getting off the charts. This is not something new that is happening. These staggering records have been a part of the avalanche that has been happening since the release of Ryzen first generation processors. I think you should not be surprised as to why this is happening, because when it comes to CPUs and performance, the CPUs from Ryzen are giving almost double the performance of their counterpart, which is Intel, at almost half the price. So this is not something surprising that you are seeing, but this is something that is happening, and this is something which is actually becoming a great news for anyone who wants to build a DIY PC for themselves. By the way, I'm creating a video series in which I'm going to teach you how to build a computer, and I'm going to use Ryzen in it. So watch out for that also. It's in the process of being uploaded. But there's one area where Ryzen is not as par with Intel when it comes to the Japan market. And what segment is that? Well, it's the pre-built segment. For some reason, the pre-built segment and the market share that pertains to it is still on top when compared with the Ryzen. So the pre-built computers right now are still featuring Intel chips, but with the way things have been happening, we have this doubt that things are soon going to change. Alright, now let's have some news from India. Scientists from India have created a paint using mango leaves. Let me tell you again, using mango leaves that can virtually replace the paint that is being used on ships, merchant ships to be precise. There is an account that the amount that is spent on maintenance of these ships is close to about $2.6 trillion yearly. And this paint which is now being developed is not only cost effective but is also environment friendly, and when it is applied over onto ships can even reduce rust to a great extent, thus reducing the maintenance cost. Now you guys might be wondering, how is this possible? What is there in mango leaves that is going to make this possible? Well, mango leaves have antioxidant properties which are known to reduce rust. Along with that, there are also polyphenol compounds in mango leaves which is also capable of resisting or completely reducing rust in the place it is applied on. So this is the precise reason why mango leaves will now be used to create paints. It will be painting these ships. What are the impacts that are going to happen because of this? Well, there are no direct impacts that we can talk about, but reducing shipping costs, well, let's see. There is going to be something that is going to be happening, but as of now, this is some incredible work that is being done by Indian scientists, and they deserve a lot of credit for this. So another news about India is coming from the parliament. Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, who is the Telecom Minister of India, seems to be pushing the fact that India should soon strive to become the Telecom Equipment Manufacturing Hub. He bases this argument on the understanding of the fact that India is one of the biggest country that has its data usage off the charts, and when this data is being used by consumers, keeping the privacy intact, we can use this data for data analysis, and various types of things can be done using this data, and basis of this you can actually go ahead and try to make India a telecom equipment manufacturing hub. So these are the various reasons that he gave as to why this can happen. So if indeed this data usage is taken in mind, various different aspects that are coming up, such as data warehousing, machine learning, and data activity enhancement and enrichment, all of these kinds of fields can be used on the data that is being used by India to come up with something that can help the telecom industry in India, and this can then be extrapolated, wherein India can actually try to become a hub where telecom equipments are being manufactured. Can that happen right now? Well, nothing happens right now, nothing happens just like that. Everything takes time, and let's see how much time this decision from the honorary minister takes to come in place. This was the first edition of TechTonics. I hope you liked every single news that I just delivered. I'll make it a point to keep you aware, to keep you updated with every news that is happening. I know this is not going to be a perfect video. I know this is not, there are a lot of things that you would want to be changed in this video. If that is the case, it will mean the world for me to just go ahead, comment anything in the comment section about the news or about the things that you want to see in this segment. With that said, guys, this is Shubham Rajput signing off, and I'm going to see you very soon. Namaskar.